Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dink podcast. This is episode 15. I'm JJ.
And I'm Graham.
And I've been on the road so much, so I apologize for content reasons. And also, I know Graham's been busy with work. I know it's busy season for you.
Yes, very busy.
But what have you been up to as of late?
A lot of work. I've been back in the gym lately, which has been good. And then playing when I can, as much as I can.
Yeah.
Been getting a good amount in, but not as much as normal.
I'll be curious to hear what your main is a bit later. For me, I was in like 6 cities and within 2 weeks, so it was just a lot. But the fun one outside of work and some golf stuff was I did get to attend the Nerdy Tourney that was hosted by Bread and Butter. Super fun event. It was an absolute blast. Almost everyone showed up. I believe just Jacob from All Drive No Drop. He got sick like the day before, and then John had a foot injury that had happened after the Adidas event, and then he re-aggravated it when he got home. So those are the only 2 people that were missing that were originally invited. But yeah, everyone else kind of showed up, and it was an absolute blast. It didn't necessarily go the best for Kyle and I. I think, as a lot of people have kind of exhausted on this topic on their podcasts, there was definitely a very clear strategy of the type of team dynamic that would win. And unfortunately, going into the event, Kyle and I thought our team setup was going to be very good, and it turned out it was not.
No.
And basically, that setup was Kyle and I basically have virtually the same dupers. I think I'm like a 4-3 something, and he's right there also. So we thought 2 level teammates would be great, but it turned out having a 4-0 with a 5-7 or 5-3 was what got you to the championship.
Yeah. Who'd you guys end up playing?
So round 1, we were supposed to start at like 8:30, and Rafa and I were waiting on Lewis to go over to the event. And we should have texted him the night before because we had been carpooling all week. And literally Rafa texted Lewis at like 7:10. We're like, hey, like what time we heading out? And we didn't hear anything until like 7:50. And Lewis was like, oh, I'm already here. And we're like, oh. And so we Ubered over and we got there, I don't know, like at 8:05, and they had already started, but the itinerary said 8:30. So anyways, it was awesome because it went quickly, but a couple of us, including Brian from Building Pickball, we didn't really get a warm up. We had time to because there was only 2 courts, so a lot of teams. But our first match was against David from Tickle My Pickle, and I'm blanking on his partner's name, but it was a fill-in because he was supposed to play with his co-host Jacob. And David's good. Like his Tui down, like if you try to attack the left, like his left side, if he's playing left, you try to take that right baseline. Oh my God, our sideline, he just cranks that thing back. It's like it was hard to speed up anything to his backhand, but he was just a really solid player, and him and his partner actually ended up making it to the semis. So that made us feel a little bit better because we got crushed. I think it was like 15-6. So you'd only play 1 game to 15, switch sides at 8.
Yeah.
It felt like we played better than that, but we just couldn't get anything going on offense. We had a lot of side outs. So then we go to the Toilet Bowl because it was only 1 game and he moved down. That was what the first round was to decide. And then we ended up actually playing Braden for Pickleball Effect and Matt's for Matt Pickleball. And Kyle and I, the day before at a park, because a lot of the teams were all kind of practicing first night together, we had crushed them the night prior. We won 11-3. Like, we won handedly. That did not happen during this. And what's funny is kind of what we said in the first match of like, we legitimately played well. I think the final score of this one was like 15-7. And of course we lost. But so many people came up after because everyone was watching this match and was like, oh, that was really close. And we're like, no, it wasn't. But it was just a lot of good rally. It was a really fun game. Braden and Matt, they were great guys. Tons of fun. But unfortunately, with that and our point differential being so bad, because you didn't just keep playing, it was just basically this, and then they just looked at points. And unfortunately, we played against a team that made the semis and then the highest combined duper going into the tournament. And so a little bit of a bad draw, not saying there weren't, better teams or whatnot, but just a little unfortunate on that. So we ended up going to the Toilet Bowl where we played Luca from Rackets and Runners and Brian from Building Pickleball. And we didn't really, it was fine. We took care of business. It was funny because Braden was doing a vlog of the event, and Aaron was up, who's obviously a good friend of ours here in Arizona. And he asked us, it's like, because it was weird. You wanted to win to not get a trophy. Like the loser is the one that got crowned. And I made the joke. I'm like, I'm used to playing for trophies. Here I am in the toilet bowl, of course. And yeah, I think the final score was like 15-6. We ended up winning. But we got up, it was like 12-3 early. And then just,
Were there any big like surprises on people and how they played?
Yeah. Just to keep it on the toilet bowl, I guess, finale or whatever, Luca was one that was a little bit surprising to me because he's a big tennis player.
Yeah.
And he let everyone know he doesn't really ever play doubles. So he's a singles player. And also he was having a really hard time with the Vulcan ball. He only ever plays with Franklin's. And I know actually Matt Pickleball said the same thing the night before. He, I think, pretty much only uses Franklin. So a lot of people were adjusting the Vulcan. You and I love that ball.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for us to practice with it because majority of our tournaments we play are PPAs.
Yeah.
And that's the ball we have to use.
We're also in Arizona where it's just like, if you use a Franklin, it's mush.
Half the year. Yeah. The winter it's fine. Yeah. And it's great because the ball doesn't crack. But yeah, it's just you can't use a slow ball in Arizona in the summer. It's just the game's. But on that point, and then I'll get back to your question, I will say, because we had to use bread and butter paddles, and so I actually ended up using, don't think I have it over here. We were going to talk, but I ended up using their newly announced Wild Thing. It's elongated. I believe it was explained as it's a Shogun, but with a layer of fiberglass. So it's kind of like the Shogun meets the Invader. And it hits good. It's really solid. I'm a huge fan of it, and I ended up putting some weight on the side like I normally do. That thing's going to do extremely well, especially for anyone that's looking for a bread and butter paddle that just has a little bit more power. This thing's awesome. Back to players wise, Luca was a little bit of a surprise, but also, again, tennis background, only playing tennis, makes sense. The biggest surprise for most people, which I think a lot of people covered, was Farmer Lanky. Not that he was like this amazing player, but he could hold his own and was so solid. And the best shot he had that was so hard to like figure out was because he's lefty and he doesn't hit a backhand. So he hits like a tomahawk across and he is so killer with it. And he played so well with his partner. I think they also made it to semis as well. And also just the nicest dude. He had a really funny story with his Uber driver, which unfortunately is not appropriate for this podcast. But basically, the first day he got in, because he got in before all of us, he was in this Uber ride. And yeah, the elderly man that was driving him had some inappropriate intentions. I'll leave it at that. And it was definitely an interesting story having that being relayed from Farmer Lanky and of course happening to him, because I think he's joked that there's like times that I think Doug was asking like, when's the last time he got off the farm, and I think he had been on for a while. But Farmer Lanky was an awesome dude, probably just biggest surprise of a person, and just a really good dude. I mean, granted, everyone was. This was the most vocal I'd seen David. I think we briefly crossed paths at the Yole event that we attended, but yeah, David was awesome. And then I mean, Lewis we chat with all the time. And then, of course, Lewis and Justin from Pickleball Pursuit made the finals.
Yeah, against each other.
Both being carried by their 5.2 up partners, but they played their role and they played it well. And they both covered this, but they both had really good team chemistry. And I think Kyle and I had really good team chemistry as well, but just neither of us are a 5-0 player. So it was hard for one of us to carry the other. So, but it was a really fun experience, hoping to obviously play better next year. Was glad we didn't end up being the biggest losers, and we got to kind of show off, because I think a lot of people weren't expecting us to be there. But yeah, it was just a super fun experience and a super fun format. Like, I am happy that it was like that. And I actually joked with Kyle. I'm like, I'm happy we ended up in that, because if it was supposed to be double elimination. I'm like, we played those first two and lost, I would have been so annoyed with how we played. So it was nice finally at least getting a win. And also it was in front of everybody, which is just a super cool atmosphere.
Yeah, but for sure. Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, it was just a big success. Doug is awesome. His daughter Aurora set up the whole thing. And I think they said they're going to do it again next year. So super looking forward to that. Maybe we can get you there next year. But
yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, shout out Bread and Butter. Thank you again. Amazing event. And shout out Aurora.
Cool. Jumping into pretty much, I mean, we really got all paddles today. There's
not much
a lot of news. Yeah, you've been traveling.
Yeah, just been on the road so much.
But yeah, we got a lot of fun paddles. So,
and I will have some reviews. I think I'm going to be dropping 2 of these reviews will be out before this podcast, and 2 will be out after I'm finally getting caught up. But what we starting with?
Starting with this thing, the new Era paddle from Selkirk SLK line. This is a good paddle.
It's so good.
This is a really good paddle.
And actually, that's one thing when we were prepping for this episode, almost every paddle we're talking about today is like phenomenal.
Yeah, no, they're all
like
great paddles.
Because we were trying to figure out the order, and I was like, oh, we got to go with this one. And then we're like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
But this one. But yeah, there's a lot of very good paddles coming out in the next, either already out that just came out, 2 days ago at the time of us filming this, and coming out at the end of this month. But this is one that we're both huge Selkirk fans.
Yeah.
And I think we both have been waiting for something. The 008 was solid.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed my time with it, but this is what, there's a reason why all the pros are using it.
Yeah. And I mean, we've only played it stock to this point.
Yeah.
It's great stock. I'm excited to put a lot of weight on it, but probably make it too heavy for everybody else. But I mean, I'm so excited. I love this paddle. I can't wait to use it more. Gen 3 paddle. I mean, pretty standard, probably Gen 3, but
I also believe they're going away from their names.
Yeah.
I think some of the guys that visited the factory had highlighted this, but they're no longer going to do like Invicta, S2, Epic, Maxima. I could be wrong with that, but I think they're going to start just referring to their paddles as elongated wide body hybrid.
That would be nice.
Which will be a nice change.
Yeah.
This one, as it has on there, I know in the email it said Invicta, but on the paddle it's listed as elongated. So I'm assuming we're going to start seeing that change with these eras. But yeah, it hits good. There's not much. It's a slightly different design from what we're used to. But I think, as you mentioned today when we were hitting with it, it was a little bit of a surprise. Like, it didn't really bother either of us.
No, it's definitely a different shape, but I like it. I was at MLP last week. Stock was using it. All their pros are using it right now, actually. But
as they should.
Yeah, they all made the switch really quickly, and it's a great battle. I know why.
And I know it's going to come in a couple colors. This also is in their SLK line, so this will not be made in America. It also will be slightly more expensive than I think they originally were wanting it to be.
Yeah, I believe this paddle is going to come in sub 200, so Gen 3 paddle for under 200. I mean, could definitely compete with the 11624s, paddles like that. I think this is going to be a great option. I believe it's going to be 180. I think that's what we were told, but still waiting on confirmation on that. But I'm really excited. Also comes in where all this blue is white. It's going to look really good, and there's going to be a wide body one as well.
Yeah, no, it's funny enough with you bringing up 11624. This kind of reminded me a little bit of the Huarache shape, which is interesting because you weren't a huge fan of that one, but you were playing very well with this.
Yeah.
And I think that it might come down to feel.
I think this one is also like, yes, it's curved, but it's like, it's not fully curved.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Like, it's still pretty squared off.
Yeah. It's more just kind of
it's almost like a rounded square.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like the corners are rounded, but.
Yeah, this definitely is going to do extremely well for Selkirk. It's definitely probably going to put them back on the map.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's not coming from their pro line. It's coming from their SLK line. So,
but I mean, it's like Rachel Rohrbacher's been using the SLK line for forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not their first. You really like their Kevlar Halo.
Yeah, I did.
And I mean, we have some friends who swear by the original Halo.
I know. It wasn't a bad paddle. It just didn't have any spin, at least in my experience. But yeah, they keep playing with it. But
yeah, I'm really excited for this paddle.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think I'm just going to be interested in seeing is, because we still see Selkirk so prevalent at the parks and clubs, is how many people are going to have this on day one, and how much of YOLA's market share they're going to take, and how many people that have Selkirk paddles are finally going to upgrade and switch to this one.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be definitely fun to watch, but yeah, really, really exciting paddle that I cannot wait for everyone to use. So next up, I meant to grab the hybrid, but this is the main one we wanted to talk about, which is the Franklin C45 Dynasty. Now, the Tempo came out as well. My review should be out by this now, so if you want full details of everything and my full thoughts, you can go watch that. But the one that everyone's really hyping up, which I completely agree with, is the 14 millimeter Dynasty. I know you're liking the 16.
Yep.
It feels great. The feel's definitely better, but this just gives you the extra pop and power.
Yeah.
And it's still surprisingly stable. One thing that is just irks me, I'm going to say one negative thing about this paddle, because there's not a ton, but the edge guard is beautiful. But gosh, if you hit a ball on it, it just starts chipping away. I know Aaron, we used to give him a hard time for because he loved the hybrid.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, how do you not protect that? Because we usually put tape over the top of ours. But I'm like, where this is hitting right on the edge, it's like that's going to wear off regardless. So you're going to see the paint or what's underneath the edge guard almost regardless of what happens.
Just don't hit balls off the edge guard.
Yeah, you have balls that are being driven at you. Sometimes it's just reaction. It's not normal shots that are being hit there. It's more the hands battles. But I just have been noticing a little bit of wear across the top. But yeah, overall, super impressed with this paddle. We both loved the hybrid. You maybe a little bit less just because you're not typically the biggest fan of hybrids.
That's probably my favorite hybrid paddle, honestly.
Yeah. So
but yes,
I know you were the one even looking forward to this more than me. But this is definitely into my rotation as one of my favorite paddles. I play so well with it. And I've put a little bit of weight on this, but I've been playing with stock for the most part. So for my video, I put a little bit on, but now that I'm kind of done and just going to start just playing freely, I'm really going to start messing around a lot with this paddle.
Yeah. I've been using the 16. I put 1 gram per inch, probably from here to here. I love it. It hits hard. It doesn't, but I'm not hitting anything out. So it's like the power is still toned down comparatively to other power paddles on the market. I haven't used the 14 yet. I've been sticking with the 16. I just usually like it better.
Yeah.
Funny about between the 16 and 14, the 14s have been coming in heavier for everybody. I know. So I might need to try the 14 because if it has more pop and power and it's heavier,
they'll start out
probably like
spot.
It more.
Exactly. Yeah. The biggest thing too is with my numbers when I ran them, because typically this has been a big thing, especially in a lot of my reviews. I'm always like, oh, it's bottom end of power. The 16 millimeter is one where I'm finally like, all right, this is probably high end of all court pushing power. And this one's probably bottom end of power.
Which is interesting because most
Gen 3s,
the 16 has been more powerful.
And that's exactly what I covered is this is the first one where it's inverse. It's kind of back to how Gen 2s are, which is super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, you kind of hinted at it earlier, this is probably my new main paddle, the 16. So I was using it last night and I was like, it's just so solid. Yeah. Like it feels great. Yeah. It's kind of like how I feel about the Flamingo. It just it does everything I need it to do.
Yeah. And not only that too, because I know a lot of the other reviewers have the inverse of the colors. A lot of them got their Dynasties in red and their Tempos in green for release. Obviously these were flipped. However, I do believe they're going to release a red Dynasty later on that you can pre-order, I believe. Yeah. And I'm assuming vice versa for the Tempo as well. Quick thoughts on the Tempo. I think it's a great paddle. Biggest issue, handle's way too short. Yeah. So if you like short handles, you'll love that paddle. But it just seems like majority of the market has moved away from that. Our buddy Anthony will probably love that paddle. Yeah. Outside of Anthony, I can't think of many people that would, unless you just have small hands or you don't utilize a two-handed backhand at all. Ping pong players might love it. If you're coming over, but
yeah, it's hard because I mean even the 5.5 inch handle, like my wife uses the ALW long handle, and it's like even that one, like I can
the 525,
525, yeah, I can put two hands on that, and it's like it's not comfortable, but you can do it. It's fine. I put my hand on the Tempo, and I was like, I can't do anything. I was like, it's fully you have to go one hand.
Yeah.
Even if you're like 3, like you're putting all your whole hand on the top of the paddle. So definitely a gripe with that, but we also aren't wide body fans in general.
Typically,
Some people who use wide bodies might like it.
Yep. I know one of the big benefits to a shorter handle, especially with a wide body, is like you can really feel the face.
Yeah.
That was one thing one of my first paddles actually was technically a wide body with a short handle. And I loved it because I came from ping pong. But as soon as you want to start getting more leverage, more spin, more power, at least in my opinion, for, just being able to use your wrist more, it just, it's just not for me. So I wish they would have done that in 525 because I think then that competes a little bit better against like that ALWC long handle version, which I think is probably a lot more popular once they added that versus the original. But yeah, interesting choice. But overall, I do love the edge guard. Still an interesting thing I'm going to look into because just some of the debacles around shiny edge guards, and I know they're going to keep coming. But I mean, it is matte. It just a weird change in ruling and some other stuff that I'll probably do something on eventually, kind of just talking about it. But these paddles look so sharp.
Yeah, no, they do.
Some of the best looking paddles. I personally cannot wait for this in red. I will probably be making sure to order myself one when they come out. So yeah, shout out Franklin. They're back.
Yeah, for sure.
First really, really solid paddle that I can easily recommend probably since Ben John's signature paddle.
You know what else is coming that they haven't? I don't know if they've even... I've seen just videos of it. There's a purple one. It's hybrid. I know that? It's hybrid. And it's a Paris Todd signature paddle.
Oh, I have seen that actually.
Yeah.
That one looked shinier, which had some concerns. I remember when that was going around.
I saw in the promotion video that she was using it. So you'll have to get your hands on one.
Oh, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah. Always a sucker for a purple paddle. But overall, yeah. Huge win for Franklin. So love to see it. Nice to see the addition to the lineup finally, since the C45 Hybrid 14, I believe, came out in March.
Yeah.
But these are officially out. I have my review. Do you want my full thoughts? Go watch that.
And there's another purple paddle coming.
So next up, we have what I arguably will say might be already in the paddle of the year conversation to me. These are so good.
Yeah.
And I know you're not the biggest fan of hybrids, but it looked like you were playing pretty decent with these this morning. I have been playing phenomenal with these. And I had just gotten these in before Florida, and Lewis and I, he drove us from Orlando down to where the event was with Rafa, and he had got his hands on these a little bit earlier. And he had a ton of play sessions with these, and he loves these as well. So we were nerding out over these a little bit, but
these paddles are crazy.
They're so good. And basically, if you love the J2K, which, I mean, a lot of people gave paddle of the year last year based off of a lot of metrics. Sweet spot's great, price, feel, performance, like just all around. The biggest knock on that was power. I think the one thing people were disappointed with that, if they, I'd never hit the paddle before and they just went off recommendations, was, oh, this doesn't hit like a mod.
Yeah.
Understandably so. This doesn't hit like a mod because paddles can't hit like a mod anymore, but it's up there. This is one of the hardest hitting paddles on the market. It has one of the best sweet spots on the market. It's one of the most stable paddles on the market. It is so good. And one thing I will note is these do say NFT and NFL. I believe these will just be called J2NF. And they do come in 3. So there's a carbon fiber, and I believe this is a CFC layup. This is a titanium or polyester thread, and there is also a Kevlar.
Yeah.
The Kevlar is the least favorite of the 3 to me, which is interesting because I love the ruby and I love the azul. But just I think these carbon fiber and titanium have been my 2 favorites over the last year as we've just gotten more surface types, and it feels so good.
Yeah, I really like this paddle. I hope they make it in a J7.
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Well, I know we were joking with Jam, the owner, about a J7 Plus.
Yeah.
And I know there's also a J2 FC Plus that's coming. And they play very similar because I have the prototype to that, where it doesn't have any graphics. So I didn't bring it up because I didn't want to confuse people. But just that one's not approved yet. So that's why I wanted to make sure I highlighted those. But they've just got some really good power paddles in the making. And the other thing that's super intriguing with these is it's basically a Gen 3 solid foam core, of where it's a foam core surrounded by foam, where it's like, okay, the core's not going to crush theoretically.
Yeah.
So I
think what's cool about these is like sometimes those foam paddles, like the 008 feel like there's not a lot of feel. Like there's no feel. Bluecor is a little bit of the same way. Yep. Even the True Foam, sometimes I'm like, I'm missing the connection with the ball.
Yeah.
These have so much feel in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Like it has a great feel. it has that Gen 3 feel, like you said, that's not going to break.
Yeah.
Which
We hope.
Yes.
I mean, looking at it and what we know about, just cores in general, this shouldn't break.
Yeah.
Not saying it can't, but it shouldn't.
Yep. But I think we're going to start seeing a lot more foam paddles like this that have that feel.
In all honesty, I'm just surprised people didn't lead with this.
Yeah.
With how popular Gen 3 was, why not take a core that theoretically doesn't break and just insert it for the polypropylene? And that's what they did. And as well as they have some other cutouts too. I don't know if I'll have an X-ray available to be able to put this up, but basically it's almost like a sun of like, you see all these like little jet ends from the side of the way the core is inserted in. But man, these things, I think they're up for pre-order right now too.
Yeah. And then these are coming in at $195 before code. So they're probably 10% off. So coming down to about $170, $175.
So a little bit more expensive from what Honolulu's used to.
But not expensive comparatively to
Gen 3.
Gen 3, Gen 4.
These are going to compete more with those 11.624s and now the Era from SLK Era, Selkirk.
Price-wise, but I mean, like I said, True Foam's $280.
Yeah.
008's $280.
Bluecor's $280.
Bluecor's $280. I'm going to pick this over all those foam-wise.
Yeah. Especially, simply put, if you are a fan of hybrids, this is the best hybrid on the market.
Yeah. And it hits hard. Hits harder than those. It's hard to compete with that.
Yeah. The only thing that people complain about on these, other than design and religious affiliations, I'm hoping we're past that. But I remember when I posted my original, that was a huge thing. Understandably so, but just those are the easy knocks. Design-wise and playability-wise, the only thing is the neck taper to the handle. Yeah. I know a lot of people are annoyed with that for two hands.
I never really...
It's not a big issue,
no.
But the thing I just want to remind people is the reason why the sweet spot and the stability is so good on this paddle is because of that neck taper. So it's like you can't have both. There's a reason why this paddle plays so well. So it's like a very small price to pay for having a great performing paddle.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, the graphics are a lot.
The problem is
there's just so much going on.
It's the bigger issue, in my opinion, is it's just what every reviewer is complaining about. Too many paddles. They're all good, but like they just keep coming up with more SKUs.
And the names are all the same.
I know. So that's why they need to either consolidate or he needs to actually have different categories for paddles.
Yeah.
The other thing I would love, and it might be a price thing, I would just love to not see a gray grip. It's like, just give us a white grip on this. I think it would just pop a little bit better as well. I'm fine with the gray edge guard. It would look better if it was another color, but and again, you can put an over grip on it. So like I said, he might just be trying to minimize costs as much as possible to give an affordable paddle, and more power to him for that. Because obviously keeps delivering great product. I just would love to see just a little bit of
I would love a white grip or a black grip with a white edge guard.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you can keep, like, there's a lot going on, but like, honestly, I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
My bigger gripe is just with, like, I wish we would see a different color other than just gray on the edge guard.
Yeah.
So
part of me wishes you could just like kind of take off, like just leave like the big sword, and then
what's funny?
Leave the John 316 and the Honolulu Pickleball Company and just have the sword.
Well, what's funny is the sword used to not be on there.
I know.
My original J2K that I got doesn't have it.
But I think it's cool because it's in there. And if it was just like that, I think that'd be cool.
It aligns with their brand too.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but anyways, that's our kind of first impressions, early thoughts on the J2NFs.
Yeah.
I do believe these are up for pre-order. I might put that link down in the description. Maybe if not, just look up Honolulu Pickleball Club. I do have, Honolulu Pickleball Company. I do have an affiliate code, JJPB. Will save you some money at checkout. But yeah, these things are just so good. And I'm just going to say it now. Expect to see these everywhere in terms of the reviewer space and probably your local park, because for affordability and playability, just everything. It's just this paddle doesn't really have many flaws.
Yep.
So one other cool thing that just popped up in the mail is Bohdi. They're overgrips accessory pickleball company. They make a lot of cool products. This one just showed up in the mail for me. It's a new trainer paddle called the True Shot V1, and it's solid. I don't know the price of this, but Bohdi just makes a lot of really good products. It's really cool to kind of see just an accessory type company in the space. So I just want to give a quick shout out to this because I have always been a religious believer in trainer paddles, especially for like warm-ups at tournaments and just drilling. Everyone's favorite thing to do with pickleball is to drill instead of, actually just go play and have fun. But I mean, drilling is just, you need to drill to get better. And it's something that you and I have consistently, talked about. It's like, oh, we haven't drilled in like a month. Let's go drill the next, week. And we always play better after. And so if you don't have a trainer paddle, I mean, there's plenty of options on the market, but Bohdi's a really solid company. I've really enjoyed this. So just want to give them a quick shout out.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the last new paddle on this list is the Holbrook Arma. And it's just such an interesting paddle. It is so good. I don't think either of us, given the specs or the feel of this paddle, probably expected to like this paddle. And at least I think we're in agreement on this. I love this paddle.
Yeah. No, I loved it too.
It's just, it plays super stiff. And that's what typically, at least for me, you like paddles that are maybe a little bit stiffer than my preference, but I tend to stay away from super stiff paddles. I think the Thrive Blackout was one that made it through, where I enjoyed that just because of the extra power that had with the fiberglass on top. But there's just something about this where the stiffness doesn't necessarily align to the overall feel and totality of the stiffness is more the feedback versus the playability. Now, I do think dwell is a little bit less on this paddle than some others, especially for like a Gen 3 paddle. But overall, just it feels great. The face is really consistent. They have a dual density core, which is unique, where I believe it's 11 or 12 millimeter cell sizes down here with 8 millimeter cell sizes up top. The one thing I highlighted in my review is that I think one of the thoughts behind this, other than trying to give a consistent feel across the face, is that when you're dinking, pros typically hit it across the top. So it just helps give you a little bit more feel and touch on those soft shots. But other than that, this thing hits like a cannon.
Yeah. No, it does.
And it's gotten a little bit hotter as well as I've been playing with the past week, last 2 weeks. So, and I was able to hit a couple other reviewers' paddles as well that have been playing with it even longer. And the question is it breaking in? And I don't know. Because you look at the x-rays of this, everyone's talking about it. There's no way this thing, just based off of other paddles we've seen, there's no way this should be durable.
Yeah.
But Holbrook is standing by their 1-year warranty, and they're doubling down that they said they've tested this.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts? You also hit the metallic one today.
Yeah, it was weird because the metallic one, we were like, it should be softer. And then I think it was by the end of it.
Barely.
But it was still super stiff.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I think I would probably use the metallic one just because it is a little softer. But yeah, like you said, I use this one. I think we have the X of the metallic.
Yeah, so Arma X. This is the Arma T.
Different shape, or same shape, but
both elongated, longer face. Yeah.
I do like. I was kind of using the top to kind of roll more, and I liked it a lot. Like I said, the games we played with it, I really liked it. It's my first chance hitting it, but yeah. Overall, super solid paddle. I haven't used a Holbrook before, so yeah, I know. I mean, they're super popular.
Yeah, Holbrook was first introduced to me with their edge guard version. Our friend Lauren from Thompson Peak, she sent some moves. She plays Durham Park now, but she had one of their original Holbrooks that had an edge guard. Obviously, then they went to their edgeless paddles late last year, early this year, and now they have the Arma. I'm personally happy to see the edge guard back, which is also interesting because not only does this have 2 different cell sizes, it has a super thick layer of EVA foam all the way around the core. And on top of that, they have internal weighting here at the bottom corner. So that's why it's like, I feel like that's the feedback is so good on this paddle is they've just really taken care of a lot of the things that help the feel of a paddle.
Yeah. I
am still shocked that this thing feels as stiff as it does with all of that.
Yeah. This is what Dong was using in the last MLP because his cycling paddle is not approved yet.
That's right.
It was like a fully blacked out
Arma,
but it had the butt cap on it.
Yeah.
You could tell that it was.
And I think they blacked that out since then.
Have they? I didn't see
think
that.
like literally the next day, I think they changed that, realizing that everyone could identify it. Everyone knows it's not.
So yeah, it was the Arma paddle that he was using. So, and he played pretty well with it. So,
but yeah, overall, this is a paddle I really do want to recommend. However, I would say just wait a little bit. Very much like the Flamingo from Proton. My experience with it, it hadn't core crushed. Other people's experience with it, some broke it in a week, some broke it in 3 months, some broke it in 5 months. I know it took mine about 5 months to delaminate. Yours took about 4 months to core crush. Everyone's going to break things differently. Also different batches as well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if they're standing by their 1-year warranty, I mean, you can get a new one.
Yeah. And that was the one thing I did say is, one, if you liked your mod when it was broken, obviously you have no worries.
Yep.
2, if you don't mind the warranty process, go forward with it. Because also if you buy it through Pickleball Central, you get a 30-day return even if you don't like it, as well as obviously they'll honor the warranty as well. And also if you buy it through Holbrook, same thing. So that would be my advice. I would just say this is a very, very intriguing paddle that hits extremely hard and I love, but just little note of caution, at least at the launch, as these did just come out a few days ago.
Yeah.
So that's that. And then lastly, before we get back into our giveaway, which we were hoping to do this episode, we were also supposed to have released one before. I did want to just touch upon the Diadem Bluecor because these also did release. I will not be doing a dedicated review to this. I will, however, be doing a foam core review. Now that there's enough out in the market, I'm like, all right, I think I can just do a comparison video or a top 5 video. Quick note, it's not bad, but for $280, there's just better options on the market. Durability is obviously going to be fine with this. Diadem usually makes past their Warrior, their initial launch, because I know that had some issues with core crushing or the edge guards. But Diadem's a big company. They make great products. They invest heavily in R&D. But this one, I just don't think it's quite there yet. I think this could have come out a little bit earlier, and I think it would have done a little bit better. I think they still sold out. But just there's more foam options like the J2NF that are now coming out. And it's just when you hit those side by side and one's $100 cheaper and the other one arguably is better, it's just hard to recommend this. But it does have a unique feel. It does feel solid. It's not going to break. And if you're a fan of Diadem, because I know some people are very brand loyal, you'll probably like this. It doesn't hit crazy hard. The feel is better than the 008s. It's better stock, in my opinion, than the 008s. I did still add weight. But yeah, I think Diadem's close. Because it's not a bad paddle. It's just, I think it's a little bit overpriced for the performance you get out of it, especially compared to other things at that price point and everything below it. So that's just kind of my quick thoughts on the Diadem Warrior Bluecor. This is the 14 Pro. I am getting my hands on one more shape because that was one other weird thing they did with this launch is they didn't send everybody every shape and or multiple thicknesses. So it's kind of hard for us to give a lot of our thoughts on it. So I did ask for just one more. So I have at least all 3 shapes and I have 2 of the thicknesses. So I'm also waiting on that just to make sure my thoughts on this paddle I want to stick with and just see if anything changes because there might be similar opinions with, say, the 16 in this shape or whatever else. So, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of paddles released this week, and it was definitely an interesting one to see 3 launches on the same day, especially with the Bluecor. I think it was delayed twice. So, but that kind of wraps up all of our gear.
All right, just wrapping it up. So we have our carbon true foam of any shape giveaway. All you got to do is comment on this video what your main paddle is and how many paddles you buy in a year.
So yeah, this week, no need to DM us. This will just be a double entry. So if you entered after our last podcast, all those entries are still valid. If you enter a comment down below this week, that just doubles your odds. Just want to get some more engagement, as well as I have a subject for a video that I've seen a couple other reviewers do, but I've kind of been keeping data at my local parks over the last 6 months, 7 months or so. So this is kind of the last little bit I want to add into that, just as we have a topic to discuss on our next podcast. The winner of the Carbon True Foam Genesis will be announced on next week's podcast. We'll be releasing that on Sunday. following this episode. So there won't be another 2-week gap. So yeah, and then I'm sure we'll have something else after that to give away as well. But good luck to everybody that enters. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.